Here's something that might actually blow your mind when you take a second to think about it. We spend 12 plus years in school learning about algebra, history, chemistry, biology, but zero time learning how to actually handle our emotions, how to understand and communicate our needs effectively. We don't know how to communicate in relationships, and we wonder what's wrong with the dating world and why we keep failing in our relationships. Today, I want to talk about the massive gap that exists in our emotional education that's sabotaging our connections, that's sabotaging our lives, and sabotaging the relationships that you have with the people around you. I'm also going to talk about what you can do about it. Here's the thing. I'm not here to bash the education system. Okay, maybe I'm here to bash the education system a little bit, but just think about this. When's the last time that you had a class on how to resolve conflict without yelling or raising your voice? When's the last time you had a class on how to express your needs without feeling needy or sounding needy? Or when's the last time you had a training on how to articulate your feelings beyond good, bad, or annoyed? We're basically thrown off into the deep end of human relationships with the emotional intelligence of a fruit fly. And it shows. And ladies, it's y'all too. It's not just us. It's y'all too. And I can say that because I've been coaching women for the past 4 years. 5 years. Relationships and starting a business are they're the two most difficult things that we can do, like to stretch us as humans, to get to know ourselves, to stretch our capacity. And we're not really taught how to do either of them really well. At least there's an MBA, Master's in Business Administration, that exists for getting good about business, but what is there for our own emotional needs? What is there for our own habits and patterns that play out in our lives? And here's the thing that nobody really tells us early on, especially when it relates to relationships, is most of the problems that we experience in our relationships have very little to do with the problem or the thing that we think is the problem, the thing that we're fighting about. It's not actually about that. It's usually about the fact that neither person knows how to communicate what's really going on, what they're really feeling. They may not even know what they're actually feeling or the real reason behind the big feelings that they're having in the moment. They might not actually know. You fight about money, but it's actually about feeling powerless or scared about the future. You get mad about your partner being late to something, but what you're really experiencing is some form of anxiety around not being a priority and what that means for like the longevity of your relationship. And because we were never really taught how to identify and articulate these underlying emotions, we end up having the wrong conversations entirely, and we're solving surface level problems while the real issues ultimately stay buried. So what exactly are we missing? Okay, let me break that down. I believe there's 4 main things or so that we're missing as it relates to the emotional education around relationships that we all need. Goodness, this fly will not leave me alone. The first one is emotional vocabulary. Most people operate with about 5 emotions when you really think about it. They're either happy, they're either sad, angry, scared, or fine. Just fine. A lot of the black women that I work with, that's primarily who I work with in my coaching, a lot of them 9 times out of 10, when they're asked, will say, I'm fine. Now, I know that's not unique to their experience. A lot of people do that, but they are really used to just pushing through and being everything for everyone else while saying I'm fine when they're really not fine. Here's the thing. Psychologists have been able to identify something like 400 plus distinct emotional states. When you can only identify 5, or you only work with 5, you're trying to paint a masterpiece with 5 colors. You're missing all of the nuance that makes you you, and then you're wondering why nobody else sees you or understands you. But like, there's so much of you that you've yet to really learn and articulate and explore. Now, the second thing that I think we're missing, the second thing that we need to pay attention to, is the difference between feelings and actions. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you have to act angry. And I know this might sound kind of simple and kind of basic, but these are the things that we haven't been taught. Like, no one has really said this to us explicitly. And the fact is, it seems very simple, but if you look at your life in maybe some recent times, you might realize that there really wasn't much thought between how you felt and how you acted in the moment. Like, that's a thing. It's maybe not an easy thing to hear, maybe a tough pill to swallow, but like, that's the reality. I have to say this, right? Like, just because you feel hurt doesn't mean you have to hurt back. But a lot of grown people do this to each other and they don't even realize it. Your emotions are always valid, but how you act on those is a choice. How you respond to them is a choice. But most people don't have a choice. Their emotions are just running everything. Nobody teaches us this. Nobody helps us see this. No one helps us see the gap between what we feel, what it is that we're actually feeling, and then how we respond to it or the actions that we take as a result. No one teaches us that underneath every single big emotion is some need that we're trying to get met, and our body uses emotions to get our needs met. We all do things or don't do things to feel something or avoid feeling something else. And if we could understand that, we could get our needs met so much more effectively, and we could be so much happier, and we can do so much less damage to ourselves and others in the process of this thing called life. Now, the third thing that I think is missing in a lot of relationships and relationship education: how to communicate our needs without attacking the other person. We learn to say you always or you never, but what we really need to understand is how to say I need and I feel. And that would require us to have more words and to better understand how we feel. We instead just master the art of making everything the other person's fault, when in reality, we need to take so much more responsibility for our own emotional experience. We're seriously not taught how to be accountable for our feelings and how we experience things. Accountability is key. We say it, but we don't always hold ourselves to it when it comes to how we handle our emotions, if that makes sense. Now, the fourth major thing that's missing is conflict resolution skills. Most people think that there's two options as it relates to conflict: fight or flight. And that's kind of like the two modes that our nervous system has. And they run the show if we're not skilled at this. But there's actually like a whole toolkit of strategies. There's a whole profession around conflict resolution and mediation. There's a toolkit that you could use for handling disagreements that nobody ever shows us. It's not a class that we can take. And I mean, just, you can let me know in the comments, how many videos have you studied or how many books have you read on how to handle emotions and conflicts in relationships? How many have you read? I've read a lot at this point, but there was a time where I hadn't read any. And it's like, we want to be successful for this major life test, and we literally don't even study for it. This emotional illiteracy shows up everywhere. It shows up in romantic relationships where partners just shut down instead of opening up. I've seen friendships, like good friendships, that die over misunderstandings that could have been cleared up with just one honest conversation. I've seen this in family dynamics where the same fights happen every single holiday or like just year after year because people can't address the real issues. And not to be a negative Nancy, but this is affecting our relationships, but it's also affecting our mental health. It's affecting our career. It's affecting our money. It's affecting the relationship with ourselves. When you can't identify what you're feeling or communicate what you need, you end up feeling frustrated, you end up feeling misunderstood, and really you end up feeling alone, even though you're surrounded by a bunch of people. I see this all the time. People who are incredibly successful and everything's put together on the outside, but they can't maintain a healthy relationship. Or people who are brilliant at solving big, complex problems, but they just fall apart when their own feelings get hurt. They just shut down. It's like being fluent in advanced calculus, but not knowing how to have a basic conversation around why you're actually upset. It's like that 2 + 2, just you can't compute it. What do we actually do about this? How do we actually catch up on the emotional education that we never got? Well, it's a good thing that you clicked on this video because I'm going to break it down, okay? The first thing is you want to start with self-awareness. And what I mean by self-awareness and how you actually become more self-aware is you just begin paying attention to what you're feeling throughout the day and consider writing it down on a piece of paper or in your phone notes. Don't just say good or bad, but write down the specific emotions. Are you frustrated? Are you disappointed? Are you overwhelmed? The more specific you can get, the better you'll understand yourself, and by default, the better others around you can understand you. Learn the basic language of emotions. There are emotion wheels online, feeling wheels online that can help you expand your vocabulary. And I'm not shading you if you don't have more than 5 words. There was a time where I didn't have more than 5 words. This is because nobody teaches us, and we have to learn. When you feel something, try to name it precisely. This isn't just touchy-feely nonsense. This is building skills, and words matter. The second thing that you really want to do is practice expressing your needs directly without attacking people, without making anything someone else's fault. Instead of saying, you never help me with the housework, or you never help me with things around the house, just try saying this: I would really appreciate some help with the dishes. It makes me feel really supported when we share the workload. Same need, completely different and so much more effective delivery that'll actually help you get what you want. And take it from a man, like, we respond pretty well to that usually. And if you've tried that multiple times and it doesn't work, you might be in the wrong relationship. That's another video, okay? Now, the other thing that we have to do is we have to get really curious about other people's emotions instead of just our own. When somebody gets upset, don't immediately become defensive or think it's about you. Try asking, what are you feeling right now? Or what is it that you sense or feel that you might need from me in this moment? Most people have never been asked these questions directly, and that's like so unfortunate. And then the last thing, and this last thing applies to all of the things that I just gave just now, and it's learn how to pause. This might be the most important skill of them all. When emotions get high, practice taking just one slow, deep breath before you do anything. Ask yourself, what is it that I'm really feeling? What is it do I actually need? How can I express this in a way that brings us closer together instead of pushing us apart or making this anybody's fault? We're in a world where we're more connected than we've ever been, honestly, at least connected digitally. But we're lonelier than the other generations have been. Our mental health is worse. And I don't think it's just because reporting is better. I think it's because it's worse. These skills that I'm talking about in this video are literally like a matter of life and death. They're so crucial to our survival. Social media has taught us how to set up a camera and cry in front of the camera. It's taught us how to perform emotions, but it hasn't really taught us how to feel them. Dating apps have reduced a lot of human connection to impulse and swipes, and we're losing the skill and the art of emotional intimacy and connection in real life. But here's the good news. These are learnable skills, like straight up, and you're not broken, and there's nothing wrong with you if you struggle with this stuff, or if you felt like I may have been coming for you at some points in this video. Like, I'm not. I was never given the manual. You were probably never given the manual, but it's never too late to start learning. Now, I'm not saying like more emotional literacy and more emotional education would like solve all of our problems. It's not what I'm saying. But imagine if we actually knew how to identify what we were feeling consistently. Imagine if we could work through conflict without destroying people that we care about in the process. Imagine all relationships around you where everyone felt safe enough to be vulnerable and real about what's actually going on. Where conflicts were things that brought you closer instead of further apart. And this is something that I get to experience now, and I'm so grateful that I started doing this work so many years ago. Like, imagine where you could express your needs effectively and get them met, and you could support other people without losing yourself in the process. This isn't some fantasy. This is literally what happens when we develop like really good emotional intelligence and self-regulation skills as it deals with our own emotions. In the description of this video, I'm going to leave a link to a $7 course, at least it's $7 at the time of making this video, that breaks down the 7 core emotions that all of us are afraid of feeling. And here's the thing, if you don't know what those 7 emotions are, and if you don't know how they show up in your life and what they look like in your life, then the fact of the matter is they are running you. They are the puppet strings in your back that are controlling you and the outcomes that you may or may not be experiencing in your life. So you might want to grab that. That being said, Thanks for watching another video. Hopefully this helps you in some way. I'll see you in the next one.